Hey, I'm Ty, and welcome to another episode of Chart New Territories. We're going to be talking to Bryan from Atlanta, Georgia. Bryan, I'm really excited to have you here in OKC today. And one of my favorite things to do as we begin this conversation is just to learn a little bit about what your journey is, what your entrepreneurial journey is. So we're going to start there, Bryan. Tell a little about yourself and how you get to the place where you're at right now.
Of course. Born and raised in Atlanta, have a family there with two beautiful girls in Atlanta. And we moved back there. My wife started school to become a midwife, and I was trying to think about something different for myself. I started my career in management consulting, started working for some startups because I wanted to kind of have more ownership of some projects and see those through, have ownership over the results. And from there, I started thinking, you know what, maybe I just want to own my own business. And I know Atlanta, I care about Atlanta. Now being back there with my family was like, I want to really dig a little bit deeper and find something cool. Home services really intrigued me. And so
Yeah.
kind of looking around and finally found something that really clicked.
Man, that's really cool. Well, let's go back a little bit because I'm really intrigued. And of course, we've had several conversations, but you're talking about the startup world.
Yeah.
So prior to thinking about starting a business or looking into that, what were you doing in the startup space?
Yeah. So I've worked for a number of different startups, a bootstrap startup that did corporate catering.
Okay.
And so helping scale that, just bringing lunch to, tech companies, startup
Okay.
companies. And so scaling that from a few different cities, about 2 million in revenue to almost 12 million.
Wow.
COVID did a number on that business model. So then pivoted to a trucking freight brokerage startup.
Okay.
That's where the sustainability kick really came about. We're
Yeah.
gonna stop empty miles for trucks. And so I was helping launch that operations team and scale that as well. And then most recently, I was working for a PE-backed startup or PE-backed company to launch a meal service for short-term rentals. So having meals waiting for you in your Airbnb.
That doesn't sound too bad.
But all of those, definitely, I didn't have all the ownership that I really wanted. And
Yeah.
it was cool to kind of build those skills. And I learned a lot, and learning, with someone else and building a business within a business was really exciting for me. But I felt more ready
Yeah.
having all those experiences to kind of go out on my own.
So in the most recent one, you were working for this startup and trying to get these meals into Airbnbs. What did a normal day look like for you? Like what were you doing in that?
Yeah, great question. Well, a lot of it was sitting in this kind of soundproof phone booth thing, making 20, 30 cold calls to
Okay.
property managers. Hey, do you guys have meals delivered? And the answer was always no, because that's a pretty rare service.
Like,
And so trying to scale that and trying to educate and sell them on, hey, let us fulfill that for you. So a lot of just outreach, outbound sales. And I had never done just straight sales. I'd done a lot of account management.
yeah.
But sales for me was definitely new, especially cold calling and then stopping by and leaving my business card and flyers. It was definitely new. I learned a lot about sales, but the day to day was really just trying to get out there and get some leads and get those meetings.
Yeah.
And it was definitely difficult at first.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, gained a lot of confidence in my process and how it's sold.
That's really cool. It's such an interesting experience to have trying to like be part of something that is brand new, that's not out there in the market right now, and trying to bring that to fruition. Uh as you're going through that, what was the point at which, sometimes for somebody it's a long process, like, hey, I've talked to people who are like, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to start my own business. It was just a slow process to that. And others, it was like, I was sitting in the car one day and just thought I've had enough. What was your point where you're like, I'm ready to do my own thing?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I started in business school. I started business school in August of 2023 when I really had this idea like, I'm going to buy my own business. I'm going to do the whole entrepreneurship through acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd started school and I'm doing part-time in the evening and went down that path. And as I was getting into school, I just completed a class last year and it was around buying a business, an existing one. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to not wait till I finish school.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad thing. My wife was like, I think it's a good thing. Initially, my favorite first step, but I was like, I want to do this now.
Yeah.
And so as I was kind of working for that other PE-backed company, I thought, you know what? I just want to do this now and go out on my own. I want to think about it in a way that reduces some of the risk. What are some of the things I can do? And the franchise model really intrigued me as I learned about it. For not only the, amount of funds you need, fewer personal guarantees I got to meet, right, but also just having some control of building something. And I had more experience scaling things versus an existing business, grabbing that and kind of growing it. But I kind of thought about different models and as I kind of just learned about the different options
Yeah.
for Atlanta, that's kind of where I really at the end of last year, started to think, okay, let's just do this now. I'm feeling more confident in what I've learned, feeling more confident in myself, my skills.
Yeah.
Having made, hundreds of, probably 1,000 cold calls at that point. I was like, you know what? I'm going to dive in right now.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Uh, so switching gears a little bit, you're now here. You're a Preservan franchise owner, a Preservan franchise partner. You're going to be opening up in the Atlanta area. You're really excited for that. So, in your own words, just share a little bit about what Preservan does.
Sure. So Preservan does a simple, straightforward damaged wood repair solution. So we find damaged wood. It's usually going to be rotted wood.
Yeah.
Could be in Atlanta, termites, carpenter bees, or the woodpeckers that chase the carpenter bees.
Right.
Could be squirrels or any wildlife damage. But on the exterior of someone's home,
Mm-hmm.
any damaged wood, we're going to repair that specific issue and problem with a solution, an epoxy solution that's been proven for decades.
Yeah.
We're going to repair those areas and only those areas instead of having to worry about replacement with something that should give you peace of mind and not make it an issue at all moving forward.
Yeah. That's it, man. And it's really not that complicated. I think that's what I like about it, and what seems like a lot of people like about it. So I know I said Atlanta, but I mean, Atlanta is a massive city.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit more granular. What areas of Atlanta are you specifically excited about serving? How big is your territory? What parts of the city are you gonna be covering?
Yeah. I'll use some Atlanta terminology here.
Yeah.
ITP and OTP.
ATP and OTP?
Yeah. So
Okay.
285 is the perimeter. So ITP inside the perimeter will be serving all of that area.
Okay.
So downtown Atlanta, Buckhead, Grand Park, Decatur, all those areas. And then OTP, we're going to be serving most of kind of northwest to northeast suburbs. So starting on the west side, Smyrna, Marietta, East Cobb, all the way up to Alpharetta, Roswell, Milton, and then coming over to Suwanee, Beaufort, Johns Creek, Duluth, where I grew up, and going back down 85. So a large portion of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Exciting. And portion of Atlanta that's been growing and continues to grow.
And most of it's the part of Atlanta you grew up in, right? Like this is like your kind of hometown, essentially.
Yeah, I was born in Marietta, lived in Duluth. Growing up, have owned a home in Grand Park, and now we live in the Decatur, Avondale States area.
Yeah, that's really cool. I guess one of the things, I mean, you're sharing kind of your journey, going to school, thinking about acquiring your business, kind of switching to franchise. I'm guessing that you kind of looked at several different options.
Mm-hmm.
What was it ultimately about Preservan that, well, one, how did you find out about it? And then two, what about it kind of was like that light bulb moment? Like, I want to find out more about this.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I was on Biz Buy Sell. I was looking for like the investing business. It's competitive. It's a long process. I was doing basically a self-funded search while I'm in school and at another job. And so I've been, connecting with different people, business brokers, franchise consultants as well. And so a franchise consultant had posted about it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I remember laying in bed at like 5:30 in the morning, see this post, and I'm like, that sounds pretty interesting, cool. So I look it up and I see Atlanta is opening. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I want to do something that serves all of my community, all of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I got really excited, learned more about it. And honestly, a number of phone calls, hearing about the business model. And then also on the side, learning a lot more about the franchise system and what a franchise really means and being part of the right networking system. Like I mentioned, reduces that risk if you're starting up. And so as I learned more about it, for me, it was just very simple. Like if you're going to have a business that just has a straightforward solution that I can explain to my mom, to my grandma, to my neighbor, it just is a very simple repair business. Straightforward. I've worked for tech companies. Too complicated. I just want something service that's very simple. That got me intrigued. And so as I talked with the consultant, talked with you all, definitely got way more excited about the potential, but also just the support and the network.
Yeah. Well, I'll reference and I'll kind of call out the consultant you worked with. It was Daniel Moody.
Yeah.
And it was really fun because my wife and I, April, got a chance to meet her when we were at a conference, and she's from Atlanta. And so I think selfishly, she was looking for a Preservan to be open in her area because she has wood rock on her house. I think you have a quote you're doing for her next week when you get home, right?
Be visiting her next visit.
So that's really cool. Obviously, and you've shared a lot about the value of a franchise for somebody who's wanting to get into business. But is there any value of homeowners and, choosing a franchised business over maybe a mom and pop locally. Do you see any value of that?
I think for us, if going with the franchise business versus mom and pop, while like the Atlanta, we're growing our business, we're behind us is that entire network
Yeah.
and that support of lessons learned, best practices,
Right.
tools, systems, and scale essentially. Yes, like maybe on paper, the business is only a smaller business, but
Right.
behind us is this huge
Yeah.
network of support. While I'm here, I'm getting training
Right.
from subject matter experts in how to do this process. So we're not only able to buy a high-end product, but then the process and how we apply it, how we address different challenges and people's
Yeah.
because everyone has wood rot and wood damage. It's never going to look exactly the same. It's never a perfect square we're fixing. And so you always got to know how to approach that the right way. And having a franchise business that can bring together all those lessons learned, distribute those out, and having other businesses to kind of also, in terms of like engaging with your neighbors and just making sure you're doing the right by your neighbors in the community. That definitely for me, I think a franchise business can offer more of that scale behind the scenes to make sure we're actually serving from the first step from everything forward
Yeah.
the right way, right way.
It's really cool because when you think about it, outside of all the legal jargon around franchising, is that you have a local owner who is bought into the community, who cares about their area. It's not a manager or something like that. I mean, you own this business, it's yours. But then you have that greater support, not just from the corporate office and the corporate trainers and all that, but then all the other franchisees. I always kind of think it was like this built together business. Like
Yeah.
uh, you're building in your area, but then you're building with all the other franchise owners, and then we're kind of
Yep.
coming alongside you guys. So it really is kind of you get all that like corporate maybe education, knowledge, support, and systems, while that real hyper local focus. So it's a really really cool way to do business, and what definitely attracted me to growing that way. Also because we get really great people to be franchise partners like you and everybody else who's joined us.
Yeah.
Um,
I was going to say to jump in on that.
Yeah.
Me coming from the corporate world like, as a consultant and then working for startups, the dynamic shift from franchisor to franchisee, where we're both invested, and we want to succeed, but there's no politics. It's such a different dynamic, and I've already felt that
Yeah.
right away, and I love that. I mean, hey, we're all owners. Essentially, it's really what's happening, and we all want to succeed. We want to grow the brand. We want to do right. And that just has really clicked with me, and I've almost like I just want to keep doing that. Now I'm like, I don't say I'm hooked yet on the franchise model, but I definitely love just exploring. I don't feel like it's going to be talked about enough for me when I was kind of getting into it.
I just don't think that that's when people talk about franchising. A lot of times that's not how they talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about it more in kind of like it's like a business in a box type way. And there is an element to that, but it's really more about, like I said, it's a business that you're building together, which makes it really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so switching gears here, you've definitely been hanging out with us long enough that I've noticed you're using the language.
Yeah.
You keep saying neighbor, neighbor, neighbor. And so at Preservan, of course, we say we don't have customers, we have neighbors. Share a little bit just about what that means to you personally as you think about opening up there in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I definitely care about doing right, being accountable. Previous life, I was always trying to be very involved with community service. And my corporate catering gig, we launched the Zero Food Waste Initiative, where we donated all leftover foods to those in need. At the freight brokerage, I try to come up with ways we could use our skills to donate kind of different meals for loads that were lost to those in need as well. And so always wanting to think about the community, but the neighbor aspect for me, I think if you're doing a good job and you really care, if you change that mentality shift of this is a paying customer versus this is a neighbor, the way you pull up to the house, the way you talk to that neighbor, you want to actually learn their story. I think it's just going to be it's a different shift. And you are going to see them around. Like this is meant to be a local business where I am local and I will continue to be local. And so I want to definitely do right and do good work and get to know my neighbors.
Yeah.
Their home is as you said many times, the most expensive thing they'll probably ever purchase. It's their castle, and I want to help them be good stewards of their home.
Yeah.
So I really think about they're my neighbors. They're not just customers trying to get an issue fixed, and I'm here to help them with that. I'm here to help them just continue to make good on their investments. Yeah, take care of their assets.
Yeah,
and so and also just like make a friend, make a process.
I love that the way you're kind of describing it. Kind of takes out the transactional element of it. It's a relationship. that we have with our community to serve them
Yeah.
in business and provide value for them. Like you said, take care of their property. That's really good. What about the Preservan opportunity? As you looked at that and you looked at Atlanta specifically,
Mhm.
why did you think like this is going to make sense here? My community needs this service, and I want to be the one that opens it. What made Atlanta sound special to you for this?
Yeah, what made Atlanta sound special is too many reasons for you to probably go
Yeah.
to as I did all my due diligence. A couple things. For one, Atlanta has 48% of the city has like shade tree cover. It's
Okay.
some of the most in the country. I believe.
Yeah.
City in the forest. Sometimes people call us that. So a lot of shade,
Uh huh.
also a lot of rain.
Okay.
A couple years ago, we got over 60 inches of rainfall. So a lot of rain, a lot of moisture, a lot of humidity,
Yeah.
and a lot of shade.
Right.
So I think there's plenty of
Uh huh.
whether it's wood rots, but just areas around homes that maybe from trees that are just untapped areas that need to be addressed and fixed. But the real thing for me is I thought of this like analogy. If your tire was flat on your car, you wouldn't go buy a new car to
Right.
fix that flat tire. You would probably just go get a new tire.
Right.
If there's an issue with your window or your door or some piece of area, some small 6x6 area of wood around your home,
Mhm.
you're not going to rip out. You don't need to rip out that entire area and get a new thing. You just need a specific repair where 100% of the thing you're purchasing fixes 100% of your issue. You're not going to buy a window where
Yeah.
95% of the thing you bought fixes 5% of that's really fixing your issue you called me about.
Yeah.
And so as I learned more about the simplicity of our solution, but also just the value we're bringing, where we're just addressing the specific issue, I think just bringing that to the Atlanta market, as I met with different people, I talked to my friends, my neighbors, talked to my pest control company, talked to my real estate agent, and just do the due diligence, got me really excited to think, okay, no one's offering just a very straightforward, simple solution.
Yeah. That's really cool, and that is. I mean, obviously, we were really excited about Atlanta because we have kind of the same opinions of it. Looking at it, just knowing one that it's such an amazing city. It's a growing city. It's been a growing city,
Yeah.
and it does have a lot of moisture, a lot of trees. It stays pretty warm there, and that makes for a lot of wood decay.
Yep.
So it's a great area, and super excited for you to be there. So Brian, as we kind of we're getting almost done with training.
Yeah.
Um, how's next week look for you? You're going to be busy next week?
Next week, my calendar is packed already, which is exciting. We've already been doing a little bit of outreach and marketing.
Yeah.
I have some friends and family already that I've spoken to who, as soon as they heard about this, they said, please put me on the calendar. And then, from there, we've already gotten a ton of leads across Atlanta.
Right.
And so very excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm back with my team, hit the ground running.
Yeah.
To find some really cool, simple, like I said, issues for people, help them solve that specific issue,
Right.
very specific,
Uh-huh.
focused solution. So it's going to be busy. I think probably the first month it's going to be habit of assessment.
From what I've seen of your schedule, it looks like you're gonna be slammed. Man, this has been really great, and we're so excited for you, so excited for Atlanta. As you think forward, and you think about the next 5 or 10 years, through Preservan, what impact do you hope to have on your community and your neighbors there?
Yeah. I mean, for me, definitely, the business itself, once again, just because we're providing that simple, straightforward solution for the issue they called us about, right? I mean, they call us because there's an issue with their wood. And I'm going to provide them, or we'll provide them with the solution for that. Being straightforward, open and honest, and being that new local business in the community that's able to just provide that for my neighbors excites me. Atlanta's growing and has a lot of interesting history, and new areas like Southwest Atlanta continue to be developed. And so maybe doing some education campaigns on how to take care and just preserve and take care of your home and not having to do any knockdowns, replacements, anything like that. Because Atlanta, like I said, has a lot of history. Let's continue to protect that. And thinking big picture, I think just like I said, my wife, she says catches babies around the city. So she's doing a lot cooler stuff, I would say.
I would say that's pretty cool. Yeah.
For our little neighbors, and she's befriended many of her clients. And so for me too, just be part of the Atlanta area, doing something that's sustainable. I think helping to preserve the Atlanta area, the community, and just building another honest small business. Really,
Ryan, we're excited to have you. We're ready to get started. We've got a couple more days left of training. So thanks for joining me here. And we'll see you out there in the field, man. And hey, if you out there live in Atlanta and you've got wood decay on your house, you've got wood that needs to be made more beautiful, rot that needs to be fixed, Brian is your guy. I want you to find the link in the description here and reach out to him. get an appointment scheduled. And if you live somewhere else, anywhere out in the United States, and you think this is a business that belongs in my area and I'm the person to open it up, also find the link in the description here. Get connected with us, find me on LinkedIn, and let's look at opening up in your local area.